It's Saturday, December 18th, 2010. I'm Kevin McShann, and this is the McShann Sports Beat Report.
Sound off on Lions issues. Now, this is out of Det News. Article out of Det News I actually read. That says something. For example, question was asked by Mike O'Hara, are they as bad as their record? John Clayton said they are more like a 6-win team that might end up 3-13. Nice little compliment there. Peter King of Sports Illustrated, NBC, and anywhere in the world that football is written about. If the question is, are they a hopeless 2-win team, then absolutely not. Close quote. He then asked Gil Brandt, who built the Cowboys Super Bowl teams, and he said they're not a joke. The buzz is considerably more than a year or 2 years ago. There are more people talking about the Lions. Close quote. Jim Miller, who does Michigan State football right now. He also does some work with the NFL and Sirius Radio. Jim Miller, a legend in the game. He said they definitely have 4 more wins with Stafford. What needs fixing first, O'Hara asked. Clark Judge, who's a CBS Sports national NFL columnist, said almost anything with the pass defense, and assume that means the secondary. I'm astonished at how easy it is for opponents to gash these guys with the pass. For this week's Monday Countdown, Brandt, King, Clayton, Miller, and Judge were asked to give their views. 5 issues involving the Lions. It was done before Sunday's game with the Packers to avoid being swayed by an upset victory. So here are a couple of things. And the expanded quotes, if you want them, we can get to in a minute. But what do you take from the national media's point of view? Do you agree with the things I read? I want to put the number out to the people, 248-539-9797.
Here's what I gathered from the national media. 2 words. Watch out. Watch out. They believe that the Lions are making the right steps to being a good team. Now, when you read between the lines, they understand that they're underachieving for whatever reasons because of the injuries to Matthew Stafford. I think they're blaming it on that. But they see the Lions as a team that's going to do something. And I think some of them maybe expecting them to do it this year. Now, the timeline is perfect from this standpoint. I said the Lions needed 3 drafts to be competitive. Next year is number 3. And next season, we can't be using excuses. Well, they didn't have this. This is why they didn't win. Well, they should win games next year. They've had 3 games or 3 years to get rid of the stench of Matt Millen. Doesn't necessarily make you a playoff team, but it makes you a team that's going to be competitive, that's going to be dangerous, and is going to win its fair share of games. That next year, if we're still talking about, oh my God, Mike, why are they 2-8 now? Then we know that they have failed. But I think the experts are saying, watch out for the Lions.
When you're a franchise that continues to fumble the handoff when it comes to making incremental steps towards improvement, it can be ultra frustrating for a fan base and a gaggle of reporters who follow your team but see no tangible or sustainable signs of progress. For the Detroit Lions, they've subjected their fans and media types to 5 decades of futility with no plausible answers in sight. But according to some national NFL pundits, brighter days are on the horizon for the Honolulu Blue and Silver. Prior to last Sunday's victory, 7-3, over the Green Bay Packers, Lions head coach Jim Schwartz had amassed a record of 4-28 during his 2+ seasons here in the Motor City. With last Sunday's win now behind them, the Lions have a record of 6-47 in their last 53 football games. And prior to the win last Sunday, the Lions had led all 3 of their previous games at halftime. However, in the second half, they were outscored by an astonishing 73-19 margin. One of the main reasons Detroit has struggled to find the win column, at least in the last 2 years, is due in large part to the fragile health of their franchise quarterback, Matthew Stafford, who, since signing a $78 million rookie contract with $41.7 million in guaranteed money, a record at the time, has provided his employer with limited results. He's played in 13 games, winning only 3. He has 473 pass attempts and has completed 258 of them for 2,802 yards. For 19 touchdowns and 21 interceptions, and he has a passer efficiency rating of 54.5%. Schwartz took some time out this week during his daily media session after practice on Wednesday and during his weekly interview. And 97 won the tickets, Stoney and Bill, to discuss Stafford's status for the remainder of the season and the effect his absence is having on his personal development and the development of the team.
Well, anything that you do, you get better with experience. But Matt was at a high level before he got hurt. He wasn't. I mean, he was. He nobody's ever a finished product. I think if you probably talk to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees, those guys aren't satisfied with the way they play, and they still think they're learning things out there every week. But Matt was at a point that his level of play was high, and his command of the offense and what opponents did and things like that. But there's nothing that you can substitute for actual game experience and going through it. And, that's Matt Stafford as an individual, any quarterback as an individual, but it's also our team, and I think that there's a lot of things that have come up this year that we've learned from, and hopefully when we're in the situation again, we don't make the same mistakes. Closing some games out, coming back in other games, different things that have gotten us, and hopefully, when you make progress as a team, you're learning from what's gone on, and that's really the biggest cost there. It's not so much his development as much as it is the experience and going through that with the rest of his teammates. It's one thing to be out here practicing in meeting rooms and on the sideline of games. There's another thing of being in the huddle and actually going through those things out with the team on the field.
Will we see Matt Stafford this year?
Well, that's yet to be seen. I mean, if he's healthy and he's ready to play and can make all the throws and all those things, then yeah, we'll see him again. But we've taken an approach with his rehab that we're going to let his body dictate where his rehab is, rather than trying to put it on a timetable. Obviously, we haven't put him on the injured reserve, and if we thought that it was, if we were going to shut him down back then we probably would have used that roster spot. We've had a lot of other injuries, and an extra player would be nice. But keep an open mind with it. And, just like every other player, he needs to be able to do his job on the field. And it doesn't make sense to put a guy out there that can't do his job on the field. That's a huge part of what we're doing here. He obviously is our number one quarterback, but he needs to be able to do his job on Sunday. He needs to be able to play a physical game, and those are all parts of the equation.
Mike Valente and Terry Foster continue their discussion on the state of the Lions and where they stand in the eyes of people around the league.
I want to hear from the people on it. What do you make of quotes that I have read you? And I'll give you some more here as we go along, but it's a really nice job by Mike O'Hara, and I respect what Peter King has to say. I think Peter King does a great job, and when people like him talk, I tend to read it. Gil Brandt, I think it's a little bit past the prime. John Clayton I really do enjoy. But some of the extended quotes, I'll just read you this one Peter King one. He said, they've had 4 torturous losses to likely playoff teams, but they play hard. Finally got a good front. meaning defensive line, for the first time since the Robert Porcher days. Peter King was kind of then asked, what do they have to do for the future? He said, number one, get Stafford healthy and find out for certain if these shoulder injuries are fluky or an unavoidable habit. If they are, cry for an hour, then go get legitimate QB insurance. Get 2 new pieces for an aging and just okay offensive line. Urgent. It's interesting as we head to the draft, too. This draft is very, very heavy in defensive linemen, not offensive linemen. So keep an eye on that.
Right.
How would they go about procuring offensive line help?
But look who got some love in there. Jeff Backus.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
Thanks for blowing that. Appreciate that. Let's go to
supposed
Brian.
to read your mind or something?
97.1. Hi, Brian.
Hey, what is up, fellas?
What up, what up?
I think anybody that really knows football would generally have to agree with those comments. I mean, I'm pretty cynical as Mike when it comes to talking about the Lions, but I mean, for the first time in a long time, I'm actually kind of excited about the coming season. Granted, the secondary is pretty freaking bad, and they just get, it's like bad when people throw bombs on them. But I mean, I really think that they're a few players away from being an almost competitive team again.
Well,
So.
Brian, you got to bring in young, hungry, aggressive players in the right spots, and we're hoping with one more draft, that's exactly what they do.
They're not giving up like they used to.
But you know what, Brian?
That's the most refreshing thing.
Yeah, Brian, but you know what? I was told under Marty Morning, hey, they're not giving up. I was told under Rod Marinelli, hey, they're not giving up. Look, I like to go through and read stories from losing teams. 8 times out of 10, hey, our guys didn't give up. They still. So I don't want to hear that. Win or lose.
That
Brian.
When you heard that, they're also peppered with a quote of "I'm going with the wind" and talk about pad level.
But
so
you know
let's
what?
keep that in perspective.
But you know what, Brian? Well, with Schwartz, you got blown clock assignments. You got mistakes on him. You've got, hey, if the Hail Mary isn't open, throw it out of bounds. So you've got flaws with him too.
I'm seeing too many of the old Lions mistakes still, and that's the biggest thing that I've been critical about. Is you got to quit cutting your own throat. Bottom line.
Right. So that is on coaching. If you're still seeing the same
I agree.
mistakes. So a lot of things haven't changed. But you know what? Go and read on a Monday morning. Go read other papers from the losers. Hey, we didn't give up. You know what I'm saying? I just hear that all the time. Win or lose.
248-539-9797. Matt is up next. Hi, Matt.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Hello.
Bottom line, some of these guys are very well respected as far as their opinions. But bottom line with the Lions, show me. Enough of this talk. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is don't believe it either way from the standpoint of you're not as bad as all that, but don't start believing that you're that good. You're not yet.
I don't think they're saying they're that good. I think they're saying they're trending in the right direction.
And that's true. But being a Lions fan, all it would take is one stupid, crappy draft and a couple of stupid old pickups from the free agency, and there we have it. I mean, that's how fickle I am. I mean, win. Like Al Davis said, and it sounds like rhetoric, and it's, sort of cheesy, but just win, baby.
The Detroit Lions are an improved football team. However, the meter of progression still remains stuck at neutral. We've seen limited progression with 3 victories this season up until this point, with 3 games to go. There's no denying that the defensive line is the strength of the football team. The special teams is much improved from a year ago, and the running game has recently found its sea legs. With all that in mind, the talent pool in Allen Park is still very shallow, and it needs to be upgraded if the Lions plan on competing for years to come. Martin Mayhew, the general manager of this club, and Jim Schwartz have done a good job of pouring the foundation to a young nucleus, which they hope will be the cornerstones of this franchise for years to come. The early returns on this bunch haven't exactly shown up in the win column. However, they're trending in the right direction. And if we've learned anything as Lions fans, yours truly included, it's that patience is a virtue and that there's always next year. Kevin McShann, Sports Beat, reports.